This is exciting stuff. I got a lot of stuff to talk about. Number one is something that you might hear while you listen and watch this, okay? They're doing construction on my street, which is fine. I worked for the DPW, okay? I get that you need to do construction. Here's how my neighborhood works and your neighborhood works. All neighborhoods work like this. You know exactly what the city thinks about your neighborhood in terms of how wealthy it is or how powerful the people who live there are by what time they do construction. Okay? If you're living in a neighborhood, they do construction between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. pretty strictly. Congratulations, you made it. You're in a great place, you're in a great spot, because the powers that be are afraid of the people that live in your neighborhood. There's a lot of people there who, probably allocate tax money. There's a lot of people there who are on the island, okay? And you know what island I'm talking about. If you're in what we like to call an island area, you're getting construction there 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you live in a place like me, they're starting construction at 3 a.m. Roughly 3 a.m. they start construction in my neighborhood. And they keep going until about midnight. And that's kind of the schedule they're on. This is how much they don't respect me and where I live, is they didn't give us any warning and they just blocked the parking spaces at my apartment. There's just no parking. They just decided that the people who live in my specific apartment building are so meaningless and useless to the city that they were just like, yeah, we're just gonna take away your ability to move. That was just the decision that came down from above. They were just like, we are going to make sure no one can leave, and we're not gonna warn. We don't care. You don't do anything for the city. Oh, what? You're not gonna get to your barista job? Forget about you. You don't matter to this world. That's exactly what they felt. They might as well have just shut off the power and water for our apartment and been like, we'll turn it on when we feel like it. What do you do? But if you live in a rich neighborhood, I have friends who live in rich neighborhoods. I'm like, what's construction like? They're like, we've never heard or seen construction. They do construction. The people who do construction on those neighborhoods, they take their boots off before they start so they can like tiptoe and be all quiet. They're just tiptoeing on rice paper to make sure. And then I pull my car out to try to get to work. And this construction guy for the DPW is just leering at me. And it's like, listen, I worked for a DPW, okay? That guy's job is mostly standing around, which is exactly what he was doing when I drove past. It's not to say those guys don't work hard in bursts, but I know the deal, okay? What are you, a company man? I'm getting out of my driveway. What are you doing? But anyway, I also got in an argument with it. It's been a tense. You know what? It's been a little tense, and maybe people won't appreciate that, but maybe people will. My week has been pretty tense. I got into this argument with a friend of mine. He was talking. It's a stupid argument. I hate people who. I don't hate them. Hate's a strong word. Listen, I don't respect people who, you're in an argument, you're going back and forth, and they have to pull out Google. When we're having an argument, I'm going, no, this is the way, and then this is the way, and they're like, oh wait, let me check on Google. That's not what this is. You fundamentally do not understand why I'm not arguing because I want to be factually right. I want to win the argument. We're going to bring facts into this? No. That's not why you argue, especially not with a friend. That's not why you argue. You argue for one reason and one reason only. Because it's a feeling. You want to win based on feeling and emotion and making a point where you raise your voice and then you drop it down at the right time. That's an argument. You're going to bring Google into this beautiful sacred land of me being, for no reason, upset at something that you don't like. You don't understand. You just don't get it. You don't get that. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I don't care who did the voice of Jack Skellington, okay? Feelings do not care about your facts. That is exactly right. Feelings don't care about your fact. I don't want to know the third lead in Star Trek Voyager was. That's not why I'm doing this. That's not why I got in the game. I got in the game because I like going back and forth. You know what Google does? Google stops a beautiful disagreement in its tracks. Google turns what should be a 3-hour heated conversation where I end up throwing the chair at a best friend into just like, I think Tim Allen is 38, and then they look it up and it's like, oh no, he's 57. It's like, oh great. I guess I'll go then. Hey, I'll see you later then. Where's this friendship going now that we've brought Google into the mix? You have to be in such a bad mental place to be having a conversation with a friend and be like, let's get a multi-million-dollar company involved in this. Let's get Google involved. Hey, how about we chill out? How about we accept not knowing certain things? Let's get that going a little bit, huh? I really do not need to know who voiced Jack Skellington. I want to argue about it, right? I want to have a disagreement about it. I want us to be like, are we going to come to blows over this? That's the desired outcome. Not, oh, let's pull up Google, let's look this up. No. No, this is a big vibe check for you, brother. If you can't notice, you can see my whiteboard in the background. Some people ask me questions about that. I write down things I have to do in the day. And many times people have gone, oh, we're going to figure out, like, you can't read my handwriting. It's impossible to read my hand. Many people have tried. I've had scholars try and read my handwriting. They come up short. And people are like, oh, that sucks. You can't whatever. No, it's good because if I leave my notebook at like an open mic or something, no one's taking those ideas. No one knows what I wrote about, the people who are at that open mic. I get to be very secretive, and that's a beautiful thing. But yeah, that's the board. If you can decipher it, good luck. When I was a kid, I had to use this like weird typing device. They obviously didn't have enough money to give us laptops. My handwriting was so bad, teachers wouldn't take my homework. So they had to have us like type on this device, and then they would take like the memory card from the typing thing and then put it on a real computer and then download what you typed, and then they'd send that to you. But I was really bad at remembering doing all that because I was a, mentally deficient 10-year-old. Which, hey, let's not trust them with anything, huh? They really put a lot of trust in me as a mentally deficient 10-year-old, and I think we could have maybe dialed that back a little bit. But they give us this typing thing, and obviously I forget to hand in the card to the teacher at the end of the day. And instead of like trying to give me the skills to, get on board with that or what, they just go, we're going to take that away from you. We're not, you're not going to be allowed to type anymore. And I was like, oh, you're going to give me a replacement thing? They were like, no, you're just going to have to leave this school. You're just going to have to fail all of your classes. Which, I'll be honest with you, is kind of cold. But also, it reflected life in a way, right? You should be nicer to kids if they have learning disabilities. But also, now that I'm an adult, I have to fill out forms by hand. I can't be like, oh, can I have a computer to fill this form out? And they're not nice about it. They'll be like, what did you write here? What is wrong with you? And that reflects life more. I mean, they made a lot of like attritions to me as a kid trying to do homework, right? They let me hand in stuff late, they let me type stuff, they did all that. Now that I'm an adult, it is really funny because my learning disabilities were centered around reading and not reading so much anymore, but it was mostly spelling and handwriting. And literally the world just changed completely in my favor from childhood to adulthood. So everybody they were like, oh, you're never going to be able to function or have a job because of these deficiencies until you fix them. And then the entire world was just like, oh, actually, spelling and handwriting don't even exist anymore. And if you know how to do it makes me really feel bad. Okay, this is a group of people I usually don't have sympathy for. I think they're very annoying. But I do kind of feel bad for them now, is people who are like spelling and grammar aficionados. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like people who are super into spelling and grammar, people who are like really gung-ho about like you have to use this word correct and this word. I do feel bad for them because back in the day, I think that did really matter. I think like spelling and handwriting and like penmanship and all that stuff was a super vital thing. And if you dedicated your whole life to that, your entire being is just centered around spelling and handwriting, and this comma goes here and da da da. And just imagine the whole world. It's like being a guy who owns a VHS video store. But the issue with those people is they continue. They'll still like write under my videos and stuff, and they'll be like, you wrote this wrong, and your spelling is a nightmare. And I get to just be like, this one woman did that. This one woman was an English teacher. And she was like, yeah, rules for rules' sake, exactly. This one woman was an English teacher, and she DM'd me, and she was like, darling, she was British or something stupid like that, but she was like, darling, your spelling is atrocious, like, you must, and I was honest with her. I wasn't mean, I was honest, and I was like, I think spelling and grammar are unnecessary and useless. And that's just how I feel about it, especially now. If you understand what I mean when I write something, it truly does not matter to me if it is quote unquote proper. Because spelling and grammar and like all that, they all have rules and they all change. I don't care. And this woman was clearly just like fixated on spelling and grammar, just couldn't get over it and was like, oh, well, I guess we're just at different places in our lives. Like trying to be like, oh, well, I'm so much better than you because I'm better at spelling and grammar. And I'm like, you're the owner of a VHS store and you're talking to me like I don't know what I'm talking about. What you're into has been dead for years. It's been just dead. The spelling and grammar, like that shit doesn't exist outside of like college level English or whatever. It just doesn't matter at all. People told me that. They were like, I had really bad handwriting, and people were like, oh well, doctors have very bad handwriting. And I was like, I don't know if you see me in the other subjects, but it's just as bad. I feel like doctors have bad handwriting and their other courses, like their level in other courses, are really good. I had bad handwriting and also bad memory retention and science grades and everything. It was really bad. But yeah, it's just people who are fixated on spelling and grammar, because I obviously I have like a learning disability, diagnosed learning disability, specifically about spelling and grammar. And it is, I do come up against these people, and I don't like pulling the card, because I very easily could. Like, if they're like, your spelling is, I could be like, yeah, I literally have, my disability is based around it. I don't do that, because I think it's a little much, right? We don't need to be pulling cards constantly all the time. And it's not like those people mean to be insulting. Sometimes they do. Sometimes those people do mean to be insulting, but I don't need to pull a disability card on them. I could very easily just call them stupid and make them feel bad in other ways. There's no need to be like, excuse me, this has been a negative in my life. There's no need for that. I mean, if you do feel that way, that's fine, but I just don't need to pull. There's a lot more things you could say to people. Like the woman who was like, your spelling and grammar is atrocious. I was like, yeah, people actually watch the stuff that I make. And I saw that her page had like videos and stuff, and I was like, I didn't say any of this, by the way, but this was all stuff that I was thinking. I was like, yeah, people actually look at stuff that do you see the disconnect here? Do you see that maybe you focus too much on spelling and grammar and not enough on being an interesting person? Actually writing, that's what matters so much more than spelling and grammar is, are you using spelling and grammar to write interesting things? Or are you doing it to write dog shit? And most people who are, not all, there are some people who are super into spelling and grammar and they write cool stuff, and those people are great, or whatever. But there's a lot of people with perfect penmanship whose spelling, their grammar is great, and they write absolute dog shit. And it's like, I would so much rather, and not to say my writing is amazing or whatever, but it's like, I would hate to be you because you've put so much effort. At least if with me, if I write something bad or whatever, it's like, I didn't put any effort, whatever, who cares? It's like, yeah, people didn't like it, whatever, we're moving on. Those people, they put so much effort into the technicality of this thing, and they still suck. There's not enough that's said about those people, and they're everywhere. They're in comedy too. There's tons of people. I mean, this is not to disparage anyone who's read a comedy book or taken a comedy class. There's tons of people who have done that who are great. But just in the profession of there are so many people who've read every book. They took every class. They were a comedy major in their liberal arts college. Like and they just can't do the job. And it is so sad. Like, there's more to... People are like, oh, I want to get by. I don't want to get by on personality. I want to get by on, like, the merits of my work. And it's like, well, your work has no merits, and also you're boring. And that's really... Maybe I'm being too defensive here. Maybe I'm being a little too defensive against people who like spelling and grammar, okay? Maybe you guys are... I don't want to sound like I'm coming off too crazy, but it is a thing that comes up a lot in my life with someone who types things and has them read a lot and has them scrutinized. But most people don't care. We're talking about regular people here. They just want to laugh. They just want to read a joke or hear a joke. They don't care if the comma is in the right place. Relax. School's over. You're not getting graded anymore. You're an adult. You have a cat, and that's all you have. Maybe don't critique other people's quite so much. Hey, if you want to have perfect spelling and grammar, keep it up. Keep writing everything technically perfectly, and having those two people that read your work read it. And good for you. That's awesome. I'm being so bitter right now. I'm being such a bitter jerk. But that's just how I feel about it. I feel the same way about, like, I really respect wine people. And I respect wine, like, people who enjoy wine. Because I recently bought wine, and I have a friend, Sydney Adams, who's also a very funny comedian. I'll have her on the podcast soon. But Sydney Adams, and I call her and I ask her for wine recommendations. She gives me them, and it's nice. Certain wine people are a little bit, like, stuck up about it, right? They're like super... Whatever. Oh, this wine does not go. I'm trying to get drunk. Let's relax. But it's cool when people know a lot about wine, because sometimes you do learn something really cool about, whatever you're doing. I like wine because you can either know a ton about it and that works, and those people who know a ton about it, like, they love it and they're into it, and then you can not know anything about it and you still win at wine. You can't lose at wine. You're always going to drink it, and it's always going to make you drunk at the end of the day. You're doing it. You're killing it, buddy. But, yeah, knowing the right context to share the knowledge that you have. Because people get too excited. That's a really great point, whoever just commented that. It's not getting too excited. It's, the saying to everyone with a hammer, everything is a nail? It's like they think, oh, because I know this, it makes me super important and I have to share it with everyone. And it's like, people don't give a shit. You're really going way too far. Like, most people. And me too. Me as well. If I learn something new, like, I love working out in physical therapy and stuff. And I'll go on and on and on with friends about the right way to work out and blah, blah, blah. And you see their eyes glaze over and you're like, this is a detriment because they're not actually listening to what I'm saying. You need to have people listen. Being palatable is actually incredibly important, and that's kind of lost. People are like, well, as long as I'm right. And it's like, no. You have to be kind with people. Like, you have to be a human being with them. You can't just be like, this is the way. I think people have, like, YouTube brain when it comes to that. They're just like, well, I am correct, and this is the logic. It's like, no. You gotta, if you're not being palatable, you've lost the battle already. Anyway, I hope this was palatable. I hope you guys enjoyed this dish talk. I'll keep doing it. If you guys comment and you like it, I'll keep doing them. If not, I won't. It's whatever. These are fun. They're, you know, low impact. But thank you for watching. If you can like the video and comment on it, that'd be great. Thank you.